is this? What time is it? Huh, a bridge. Guess there's people nearby, huh? What is that? What is that? Oh, oh no. Oh no. What? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. What? What's going on? Oh, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. What? It's ah! Hello YouTube, my name is Wherein Omega, and I do things. Obviously, I did not just get eaten by a titanic lava monster, but you can see that it is behind me in a far less fleshed out form. Now, you'll notice in the description that there is not one, but 2 world downloads. That is because I have the bare bones version, which you see behind me. It shows all of the redstone without covering it up in its glorious detail. And of course, the fleshed out version, which doesn't have any of my experimental contraptions back there, and all of the redstone is covered up, and obviously this guy has a bit more of a head than he does currently. So if you're just interested in the aesthetics, or if you want to build in that particular world, then you probably want the fleshed out version. If you want to take a deeper look at the redstone mechanics, then you probably want the bare bones version, or, you know, heck, just take both, why don't you? So we'll be going over a bunch of the mechanics and things that I did in this particular build. Before we continue much further, though, I just want to say that you might want to note down this seed, because right down here is some very nice surface gold. I mean, just look at that. Really easy surface gold right off the bat. And spawn is like somewhere over there, I think. I modified the spawn location in both games, so, you know, you can get the full bare bones effect. Bare bones spawns you over here. Fleshed out version spawns you over there, so you can walk along the path just like I did, and up in here. Obviously, I've done a ton of terraforming. Like, anything that's purely aesthetic is not in the bare bones version. So that includes the terraforming here. That includes all of my work on the bridge over here. And, you know, obviously this guy's face. So first off, let's go over trigger mechanisms. So we've got one tripwire here, and we've got one tripwire inside the mouth over here. Now, this is going to be a little bit funky, but let's trigger it from inside, and we'll fly back outside and, you know, show you what's what after it's done. And there you have it. So, lots of details here. You'll see that he is now smiling. He's got the frowny eyebrows or whatever. Let's take a look at how I did all this stuff. So in here was the drawbridge. I've done this by 2 sets of flying machines. And there are 12 blocks in these flying machines, so I'm flirting with push limits. And if timing was not impeccable, then let's just say I had numerous failures here. So down here, we have the device for triggering it. Now, no matter if I trigger it over here, or obviously if I trigger it over there, then this monostable pulse goes off and triggers this delay circuit. I think it's just a pulse extender. So basically we've got a couple of droppers feeding into each other, and I use this all over the place. So I'm only going to explain this one once, and then we'll go over the individual timings later. But basically, I wanted to delay and then give a falling edge pulse. So this delays by having, obviously, the droppers feeding into each other. We've got a pair of hoppers feeding into each other down here. We've got 14 items in here. So when this fires off, when this gets the initial pulse, item comes up into here, negates this, so the items start flowing back into this, and then once this turns off, it sends a pulse up here, and it sends it back down. It's like an RS NOR latch plus a bunch of other stuff. So then, this is a falling edge detector. We've got a piston under here hooked up to this observer. So when this whole delay circuit is on, this extends and no redstone is emitted. But when it retracts, it sends a single pulse at the back and into these repeaters, into this light. Now, you may ask yourself, why the light? And good question. That is because this corresponds to the first flying machine. We need it to trigger first because otherwise it would contribute to the push limit of the back machine and the whole system would fail. So you can see we've got this light triggering first, then we've got a couple of repeaters and a couple of torches just to negate the signal, mostly just because it was the easiest way to get the signal up here. It didn't really matter which. Now you'll also notice that I've got a couple of obsidian blocks here. That is to stop these, which will stop the system when it comes back. Originally, these were also intended for that purpose, but it's no longer necessary. Now, you'll notice this piston that caught my attention. That is hooked up to the tripwire, so this is actually how I send a signal down and put the input on this side. So let's follow that. It goes into the mountain and over here. Now you can see that I've got a button down there and a button up here for testing purposes. It feeds into this light blue line, which has a monostable pulse as well over here. This feeds into a T flip-flop, and you know, obviously the system is on now because I triggered it. So let's go over what everything means and what it does and how I had to solve stuff. So the blue line here is what I call the ground, or, you know, it's the input line. If it's blue, it typically hasn't been processed that much. You can see that we've got repeaters with 4 ticks here and here. That's because of some timing issues I encountered later. But, so the blue line feeds into a few different things. One of the things that it feeds into is sort of this latch here. You can see that we've got a hopper, it's currently locked, and it would also currently have the item in it because obviously the system is on. But what this controls, and we have one up there too, which is why the blue line extends up here, is the mechanism for the teeth. When this is empty, when this is empty, the system is on, which means the teeth have to be retracted. When this has its item, then the teeth extend, of course. And so basically, I did this because I needed delayed on, but a fast off. So that's what this does. The blue line hooks up to the hopper, so when the blue line turns off, the hopper releases its item back in here, and the teeth close almost immediately. This delay circuit is exactly the same as the one that I said down below, except the timing is set to 24. That means that the teeth will fire pretty much last. And yet, it is still faster than the drawbridge coming across, and that's very important. Sheer dumb luck on that particular timing. But as I mentioned, you know, the blue goes up and it feeds into here, which is the delay circuit for the upper set of teeth. Now you'll also notice that the blue continues on up, and this place is a bit of a maze to fly through. But it continues on up into this circuitry here, which is another delay circuit, which governs the entirety of the eyebrows and the dispensers and the lights. This is a bit of a hodgepodge of wiring. Somebody probably could have done it better. But basically, I had to come up with a way to wire the lights and dispense the lava, all without encountering bud powering, and also avoiding interfering with these mechanisms for the mouth itself. Now, let's go over the mouth mechanisms in depth. You can see we've got a double piston extender both here and here. And these are offset from each other. So obviously when this one is on, this one is off. And it's not entirely necessary to... Well, yes it is. Because we have these delay circuits. The one up top is 4 and 2, and this one is just 4 and 1. Now, I'm not entirely sure why it worked out that way, but I do know that it has to do with how these double piston extenders work. And I figured that out through trial and error over here. So if I just toggle this lever, then you can see the mechanism by which the cheeks move. And so you'll see that again in its full glory later. So that's that. Over here, I was playing around with the eyebrow timings. Basically, I wanted to see that these slime blocks slid past each other as opposed to getting stuck, and in fact, they do. Over here is a prototype for the flying machine. Originally, I wanted to try and get 4 across on the drawbridge, but that doesn't work out so well. I could have done it if I added a second couple of pairs of flying machines on either side, but... that would have extended the build unnecessarily, and I kind of just wanted to keep it as it is because it doesn't look half bad currently. And that's pretty much it. I don't remember what I was experimenting with here, but it looks like it was the other part of the flying machine. And of course, here is the falling edge circuit. So I think that really covers all of the redstone. The rest of it was just really complex and strange wiring, and I attempted to use colors that made sense. Like, obviously, the bone blocks are for the teeth. We've got these glazed terracotta for the mouth mechanisms, because I used a whole heck of a lot of glazed terracotta. And that's sort of the color coding there. Up at the top, you may have noticed that we've got some orange and yellow concrete? Yes. So orange was intended for the lava dispensers, and yellow, I guess I'm not using yellow anymore, but yellow was originally intended for the eyes. And you can also see that I've got some coal blocks here, and those are intended for the eyebrows because obviously they're made out of coal to a degree. So that, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the entire mechanism. You saw it opening in the previous clip, so now let's take a look at it closing. And there you have it, folks. It retracts and does everything in the exact opposite order, and I personally think that it turned out quite nicely. Obviously, the bare bones version, you know, is a little bit more sloppy in the lava, and I think the face turned out decently. What I was kind of going for, actually, you know what, let's flip over to the fleshed version real quick. So as I was saying, what I really wanted to go for was sort of a combination of the Colossal Titan from Attack on Titan and the flying skeleton head things from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. You know, sometimes they would catch on fire and then they would fly around the room looking all terrifying and potentially burn your shield if you didn't upgrade yet. So real quick, let's just toggle this over to daylight. Time set, noon. And you can see that I've got some of the details from the Colossal Titan, you know. We've got sort of where the muscle binds to the skull. We've got, you know, nether brick as the muscle itself. And I'm actually really surprised at how well the brick worked. Like, it was the proper color and everything. And in a way, it also kind of looks a little bit like a Tron helmet. Not really sure why. I mean, I am sure why. My skills aren't all that great, but I think it still ended up turning out pretty decently as a cage. Now, we saw the head closing, but not in its full form. So let's set the time back to midnight. And let's just close it up real quick. Now, one thing I noticed while getting over into this world just to test things out is that you can't trigger the mechanism too quickly after it's already been triggered. Specifically, when I was inside the head and I tried to walk out, there was some timing problem with the drawbridge, and it got stuck part way. So just keep that under advisement. You know, just wait until everything has stopped moving. Like, if you can still hear sounds and stuff when you're inside this thing, don't go and immediately walk out. I mean, you can, but you'll break stuff. And frankly, fixing it is quite a bear. But that is pretty much everything. I'm really pleased with how this came out. I think it could still use a little bit of work, but I think the shape itself is fine. Originally, I had wanted to put like an arm reaching out sort of in this area, but this was plenty fine, and I'm kind of swamped. On that note, I must apologize for the lack of content lately. I actually have 2.5 videos of Sky Factory Reloaded sort of queued up in the background. I say 2.5 because I had a recording issue partway through. And I also have an idea for another Redstone video that I'll probably end up completing before I release those, and some other stuff. Like, there's just tons of stuff that I want to do, but my social obligations and work life have gotten really busy lately. So that's pretty much why you haven't seen anything from me lately, but this one really got me going. Like, I was really enthusiastic about this, and I think it turned out pretty good. So with that, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel and want to see more of this stuff, then please click that subscribe button and click the bell to be notified. And of course, if you have any questions or comments about this build, things that I could do better about the redstone, or components that you want me to go into further detail, then feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And with that, I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching, everybody.